Okay, good evening. This is the Newfane Selectboard meeting, our regular meeting. It is May 7th, 2018. Our select board members who are present here right now are Mike Fitzpatrick, Chris Williams, Shelley Huber. We have Shannon, Administrative Assistant to the Select Board. We have Jay Wilson, Road Foreman, who will be reporting to us, and I'm Marion Dowling. So, is there any, we're calling this to order and we're asking for any additions or amendments to the agenda.
I'd like to make an addition of just reviewing the purchasing policy, since I am new and it doesn't have a date on it. So I just wondered if we could take a look at it.
Okay.
It looks like it's from Todd Lawley, and I don't know what that means.
Yeah, it's from the past.
Yeah, it's from the past.
Yeah.
I think it's 2015, but I'll double check.
Okay. We can review it maybe towards the end of the meeting, or when would that be appropriate?
You could put it under,
The bids?
Old business.
yeah, old business would be good.
Old business.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Any other amendments or additions to the agenda? Okay. Okay. So, next item on the agenda is the April 16th regular meeting minutes. Does anybody want to approve the minutes? Make a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Was it April 16th or 17th?
April
It was
16th.
originally scheduled for the 16th,
Oh,
but it
that's
was
right.
held on the
Yeah,
17th.
17.
Any second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
I guess I abstained because I wasn't here, right?
I'm sorry, what?
I was not here, so I abstained.
That's right,
Yeah.
yes. Okay. Sorry, was there any discussion about that meeting? The minutes? Okay. Okay, it's been approved. The next minutes were from April 23rd, 2018. That was last Monday evening. It was a special meeting regarding bids. Is there a motion to accept the minutes?
Make a motion to accept them.
I'll second it.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
That was the meeting I wasn't at.
Yes, I know.
You're at the other one.
Previous one I was at.
Yeah, right. Okay. Any discussion about the minutes for April 23rd? No. Okay. All in favor of accepting the minutes, please say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. Okay. The special meeting minutes have been approved. And Gary Delius just joined us. The select board member. Thank you. Okay, moving on to road business. The first part of road business is the road foreman's and road commissioner's report. And Jay, if you could please read yours.
We picked up all the green up bags and tires this morning and took them to Brattle Road, the Triple T. We had 114 bags and 29 tires, and then a lot of other miscellaneous stuff. The radar sign that we have has the capability of providing us with speed data, which could be useful for if you wanted to plan on having some enforcement done what time of day and so forth. To get the software for it is $375. And we do have money still in the traffic safety, that's where we took it from, to do that. The windstorm Friday night and into Saturday we had many blocked roads and a lot of down power lines. I think at one point we had 9 separate outages in town. The last of them finally got opened up Sunday afternoon at some point. Was Stratton Hill was the last road that got opened up. So we'll, just like with the last windstorm, now we gotta go around and clean up a lot of the trees that are laying alongside the road. But these windstorms are coming a little too frequently.
Yeah.
The guardrail is scheduled to be put in the week of the 21st on Dover Road where the barriers are. And we have a couple of other sites that we'd like to do when they're down here, that trying to get rid of some of the old cable stuff that's all fallen over and so forth. We've been trying to grade roads and clean out ditches as time permits in between all this other stuff. The paving bids will need to be put out for the summer, so everybody's not booked up. The road scheduled to be paved this summer are the remainder of Depot Road, which is just below the town garage to Grimes Hill, 0.4 miles. Grimes Hill Road from Newfane Hill to Route 30, which is 0.4 miles. And if possible, a shim coat on Bruce Brook Road, which is 0.25 miles. I think the same bid that we've used in the past is fine. We just have to change it for the roads that are being paved. I attended the bidders meeting for Adams Brook project on Friday, where they're trying to clean out some of the rocks. And then we met with the FEMA representative last Wednesday about all the damage from the October 30th storm. That's it.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the continued work you and the road crew are doing. A lot of difficult projects right now with our storms. So thank you very much.
Can I just ask a question?
But you know what I wanted to say, I'm sorry.
Okay.
That because we have several people here tonight and it's a long meeting, I'm going to ask that whenever anybody wants to speak, I want to follow the Robert's Rules of Order tonight and have the, raise your hand and the chair will say you can speak, okay? Just to keep it in, yes.
Okay, so where's Adams Brook project?
Back after Irene, I think it was it part of the repairs of Adams Hill Road or was it a separate thing?
They filled in the rivers, towards ledge, they washed it out. They thought that was gonna be the cure-all, but then what happened, the water went through the rock instead of going over the top of it, so then fish couldn't get up it and stuff like that, so. When they did the bank, they brought that brook all right up at the same time. So
Okay.
now they wanna dig out 5 feet or so, isn't it?
Was it 380 yards of stone they want to take out, something like that?
At our expense.
It's a grant they got from somebody.
Yeah, at our expense.
But they're doing that all over. The only place they seem to have done it is down this end of the state too, from what I've heard, But they did it up on Route 9, up along 100 in Wardsboro, and so they've been going around making it so the fish can get up the brook.
I'm not sure
Any
they have
other-
money to do it, but.
Just any other comments about the road foreman's report?
I have,
You have something you want to
Yeah.
say? Okay,
Don't raise your hand.
road, he did,
Oh, okay, I didn't see him.
road commissioner.
we were at a meeting the other day with the FEMA, and they said that the administrative assistant had done one of the best jobs they've seen of having everything documented for them, and it was very smooth to work with. They
Nice.
appreciated it, and they said it more than once. And that made me feel good. And now I have one other thing, you ain't gonna like it. On the Dover Road, where Fitzpatrick's did the, fix it along the blacktop, that was supposed to be dug out, blacktop 8 feet and redone. When are you gonna do that? Do you have any idea?
Probably when it's done settling, when you settle, yeah.
Well, you gotta cut it out and compact it in, because Jay put his arm right in up to there, right down the side of the
Yeah, I already
road.
talked to Jay about that, all right.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's all. Well, I just had a question.
One of the
Okay.
things too, on this whole thing of the pavement, are we gonna try to get them to do this grinding of it this year? Instead of just keep putting it on, because the paving guys actually told me it'd be a better job. It actually uses less pavement. Because you mill the road down so it's the right crown. And so when they pave it down, instead of have to do all the shimming and then put a top coat on it, it dresses it up a lot nicer. But the whole idea of it was, one time we wanted to try using millings on a couple of the roads and see if it worked to help get rid of the
Do
mud.
we have enough, usually like every few years we get a paving grant or we have more money to use? Do we have enough with just the money we have to do it and still get those 2 sections done?
I don't know, that's what we'd have to do, is get a price on the milling too. I mean, I'd like to see it. I mean, I think there are some places that are blacktop, 8, 10 inches thick now.
And I know where we do, like in the village, if we, at some point, I don't remember how many years it is from now, but if we do Williamsville, we gotta mill that, so we don't keep going up higher. I don't know, we talked about it, last year, and, but we had a lot more money to spend on it because of the grant, so. I don't know, I can talk to the, Dummerston did that last year on Upper Dummerston Road.
I mean, it makes it better, it's seal and everything on it too, 'cause you're roughing it up.
We got a grant last year, so we won't be getting one this year. Usually every other year you can hopefully get a grant.
Okay, is there any more discussion, questions or comments about the road foreman's or the road commissioner's report? No. I would like to say something just because Chris brought it up. I was going to bring it up a little later, but since he brought up FEMA and the gentlemen who were here, I was also in the building back and forth. And at the end of FEMA being here, there were several people here, and I was about to leave, and Shannon was talking to a gentleman, one of the FEMA representatives. His name was Kevin? No,
Yep.
Kevin. And Shannon said, "Oh, come here, I want to introduce you." So she introduced me to him, and all he could say in return of me saying hello was he cannot believe how incredibly thorough and wonderful Shannon is with all the work that she actually even had things done before they were due. He was so impressed with her. No surprise to me. But I just wanted to say thank you, you do an incredible job, and those men were truly great people for you to work with, and they felt that you were the best, absolutely. And he also said to me we should let her have a massage every week on her back because she spends all week doing typing and work for us. That's his recommendation. Okay, that's it. Okay, moving right along. The next part of the road business is the excavator bids. And they are right here. We have 2. Is there anybody who would like to read this out loud? Okay. You want to? Okay, the first one is from Anderson Equipment Company, and it was received via email at 2:44 p.m. on Sunday. Okay, Shannon, this is new to me, and I really don't know what all of the information is that I should be reading aloud.
I don't really know either.
Mike, can you do
Let's
this?
go through the prices, see what it's got.
Yeah, I don't see any, I guess maybe it's at the end.
Maybe
What does
the
the
last
Anderson
page.
Come
Okay,
on, let's see what it's
here it is, okay. Thank you, Mike.
Good moment.
Okay. It's a quote by FFOTI, and it's Anderson Equipment Company, bracket only, built to Komatsu PC 160 bucket specs for FAA forestry mulcher model UML/EX125. No pins, set of attachment pins for use with coupler swinger. The total before tax is $164,519. Price quotes are FOB Albany, New York. Thank you for the opportunity to quote. Sincerely, Anderson Equipment Company, Frank Vati, FOTI, and his phone number. And the quote is good for 30 days. Okay, the next bid is from Milton Cat, wheeled hydraulic excavator bid. Milton. This is a Milton Cat, one new 2018 Caterpillar M314F wheeled excavator with 0 hours. The purchase price is $254,000, or going with a 10-year upfront annual lease payment of $32,534. And the company name is Milton Cat, and the representative is Jeffrey E. Slade. Dated today.
What was on the other bid, what was the machine, did it say in the front page?
Oh. Specs for Hydrema, HYDREMA, M1700C-2. Is that what you wanted to know? Okay, so those are the bids, and so we are to review and discuss the bids. Again, I would like to ask anybody who wants to say something, raise your hand, and you'll be recognized by the chair. Mike?
What I'd recommend is the one from Kamasa, we look that one over, and I'd tell them, bring it over and demonstrate it.
Okay, so,
It's $100,000 cheaper than the Cat, no matter how you look at it. And like I said before, ain't no way I could see renting one at $32,000 a year for 10 years, $320,000. And I'd take a look at that one there. I've seen them before. I mean, they look like the Cat, but just different things.
this is from the,
Now,
okay. Okay, so I just want to review, you want to go and look at one, did you say?
No, I said, look over the thing.
Yeah.
We can look it over now. We know the prices.
Right,
And go through, see what they got. And before we decide to buy any of it, we'll have them bring it over to demonstrate it and show it to the town.
okay. Okay, thank you. Chris?
okay, the only thing I'd say, I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. But we want to have it demonstrated with the brush head on it.
Demo with
Besides,
brush.
that's different than just using the regular excavator. It's, I want to see how that works. Do you agree with me on that, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay, Shannon, are you here? or-
Yep, I'm here on this.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Okay.
Okay.
1 second. Okay, Shelley?
Okay, so my question is that, do we actually need to buy one? Can we have a contracted service do it to save us money? And definitely not into the lease. That's $320,000 out the door. Nothing to, no equipment
Okay.
at the end of it.
Okay.
I think the amount of ditching we have to do, I mean, pretty much the entire 63 miles is gonna end up having to be ditched, both sides of the road.
Right.
To hire somebody to do that would be a very expensive proposition, plus we have so many other things that need to be done. We've got culvert replacement, we've got, whereas the backhoe, is good for some stuff. Some of that stuff is very slow at. I think we could get a lot more done over the course of the summer.
They had recommended an excavator to do the work.
That helps.
Yes.
Yes, we all
I
got our
can't, I
hands up.
can't respond?
No, yeah, you can. We're doing it one at a time. Of course. Go ahead.
Okay, well, he was talking to me, so
I
I'm
was
just
talking to
responding
the
to
board,
him.
yeah.
Okay. And so the point is, the excavator was recommended at the convention that I went to do the work. I just don't know if this community can really handle the cost of 2 pieces of new equipment in 1 year. I don't know where we're at with the numbers, in the budget.
They were budgeted on and voted at the town meeting, so.
Uh-huh. But that's with taking money out of the capital expense account?
Yeah, there was, in the worksheet that's in the town report, it'll show you what part was supposed to be borrowed and which part. So the excavator was gonna be borrowed though.
With a loan?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so you need to get a loan for it.
yeah. So,
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion about this right now? Yes.
On that excavator deal, the whole thing, how it's all started anyways, Todd and I talked about this over a year ago.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't so much looking at a brand new one, he was looking at some used ones, because you can pick up used ones for 40, 50 grand, pretty good thing. I mean, and they don't get beat like a regular excavator, because they're used on blacktop most of the time, and all that. So now we got looking at the new ones, but like I said, you know, I thought it'd be a good thing to have. Why I wanted the brush head, because that thing will reach 20 feet up a bank, or down over the bank, to cut back some of the brushes along the side of the road. And that's why we said to the brush that it could be used for a couple different things.
I remember we had that conversation.
But, you know, I mean, just for maintenance of the roads, they got a lot of stuff, you know, in different places, gonna have to be widened out, fixed up, and all that kind of stuff, so.
Chris, thank you.
I would recommend the town buy something and the town own it, not go out and rent something.
So own rather than rent.
My only other thought was, is
And lease, you mean?
get rid of the backhoe.
No,
But I don't see where you could really need that anymore.
use it all the time.
For what?
Going around cleaning stuff up, blow downs.
But that's what we was gonna use this for now. We want a thumb on it too.
Yeah, but you aren't gonna go out in the middle of the night with that. Yep. No, we own the backhoe, just keep it.
You own
And if the
it?
loader's down, you got something to load sand and salt with.
Well, you'd have that to look the same with too. I mean, I just think, it's just they're almost obsolete, I think. Rotary backhoes.
the backhoe?
I mean, I guess if you own it, like you're saying, you could keep it, but as far as that goes, you own the Sterling too, so why not keep that, you know, for 15 grand? I mean,
Jay? is
but we'll
any-
come to that point. I think tonight is, we ought to be looking, you know, we know which one's the cheaper one, call them up. Then we want to see a demo of it, and
Can I just take the, just to see?
I'm sorry.
Can I just take the peek at the specs?
Yeah,
Excuse me.
yes.
The other thing is that they did mention on the new piece of equipment that would have something to hammer out the ledge on some of the corners to widen the roadways.
You can rent a hammer for them, and, you know, if you need one during the summer at some point.
Okay.
Good, thank you. So, Jay, my understanding is that right now, we're not bidding on anything tonight. You're
No.
going, everything will be reviewed, and there's a request to have demonstration with the brush head, is that correct?
Yeah, that'd be great.
And there's an opinion, a few opinions about owning rather than leasing. Shelley, you had the question about if the town can afford it, and Shannon responded that it's in the budget already.
I remember, yeah, the budget allowing for that, but
Yeah.
it's Two big
Okay.
pieces.
Yes. Is there any other discussion about the excavator bids? The excavator and the bids? Jay? Yes.
Just one thing that you want to add to the minutes is it's a 2011 that they bid. So it was a used one that's the bid. I just was trying to check what was such a big difference, and they bid a 7-year-old one.
It was a demo, yeah.
Okay.
For which one?
Lots of things.
The first one.
And it's not a Komatsu, it's that Hygrima?
No, that's right, but they're sold by the Komatsu, yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's like I said, I don't know if you really need new, brand new computer.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I was looking at one the other day, I called about it, but they just sold it to another town, that was $43,000. And it's identical to the one that you guys tried out from the cat.
Can you get parts for them?
What, Caterpillar?
No, I know you can, Caterpillar.
Like I said, it's with a Caterpillar, it's just identical to the ones you
Oh, it's
guys,
a
it's
Caterpillar.
identical to the ones you guys had down here trying out. And it was 43 grand, so I called up about it, it was M&D Tractor over in New Hampshire, and they just sold it to another town.
Oh, they sold it.
But you see them all the time, that's what I said, you
Yes.
see them all the time, like, for $40,000, $50,000, I mean, maybe to start out with, maybe that's the way to go. Instead of buying brand new, you know?
Okay, so let me ask something. Jay and Chris, have you discussed buying a used one rather than a new one?
We haven't, we would have to look at it and you know, try them out and so forth.
Only thing I would say about that is the brush head, you want new.
Right.
You don't want the second-hand one.
All right, all right.
So you would want a new brush head.
Yeah.
Would you be interested or willing to check out some used ones?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
We can take
yes,
we could take a vote, right?
On what?
I don't
On
know.
new or used? I mean, we
No,
just
you
bid
don't.
it.
No,
No,
no.
no, you can't. We have the bid. What do you say, Shannon?
I mean, the bids that came in, I would go with Mike and recommend that they try that one out.
Right. Yeah, we have to honor the bids that came in, but in addition, perhaps you can consider.
Well, the only other thing is, like I was talking to Shannon about the whole thing, is what was voted on at town meeting was to put 32,000 in for rental. Now, like I said, if we purchase one, but she said it would be all right because next year you just do it again, but I mean,
Well, you wouldn't at that point. If you decided to purchase, you could put your whole debt service into the debt service line item at that point. So this one didn't specify whether you were purchasing or leasing, but it allowed for the first payment either way to be made.
right,
So
first,
you-
well, what I'm
Yeah.
saying is if we did purchase it, do we have to go back to the town to vote to?
No, but you
To
would
buy
have
one?
to include it in your full debt service next year, instead of just
But
showing.
by then we'd already have bought it, right?
Right, so you
So-
could purchase it now, you'd have enough to make your first payment. But at that point, if you decide to purchase, you would have to list it all in your debt service in the town report. You'd have to list the whole purchase amount. But for right now, you have enough to make a first payment anyway.
Okay.
Or if you got a used one, you'd have enough to really pay for just about half of it.
Chris?
We need to try one out and see what it is.
Okay,
Then go from there.
okay.
We're just going around circles here right now. Let's try one out and see what happens. You agree?
Right.
So
I'll try them
Shannon,
You buy
given
all
that was
summer,
brought up in the past, we had talked about that, about a demo. Do we have to vote on that now?
I
No.
think you don't have to vote on the bids that came in, so
No, okay, so you'll go ahead and
then
you'll
try it out and they'll come
get a
back.
demo with the brush head. And will you,
They might not put the brush head on it unless they know they're gonna sell it. It's the only
Well,
thing.
then there's no sense
Well, see,
getting it.
Caterpillar didn't bring one down with brush head either, you know? They might not put them on them unless it's, you know, because that's, the next guy might not want it with a brush head, you know? Like I said, the only reason we wanted it, because like we talked about, and we had quite a lot of spots, you could mow them down hills and,
Well, wouldn't that, right now, the bid is just for the excavator, not for the brush head?
No,
Is
it's
that
not.
correct?
It included,
Yeah. Yes, Shelley?
Hello. So the question is about the brush head. Can it be rented to use it as a trial on a piece?
oh, I'm sure they might put it on, I'm just saying, I don't know if they will or not, you know? Until they know they're gonna sell it.
Right, no, I get that part, yeah.
But no matter what, we still wanna try the machine out.
Well, I'm just saying if, if we got one that they brought it down to try out, if your concern is about how the brush head works, that you actually rent one and use it on the one that they're using as allowing us to demo. So you have an idea of how it
I mean,
works.
we can ask them, all that don't hurt to ask.
I don't
Right,
think they'll rent
exactly.
one now.
Huh?
I don't think they'll rent a brush yet.
No, as I say, just ask them, you know?
Yes.
So I think that's the important thing to do, is to ask them, tell them that you're considering these vehicles very seriously. The town wants to buy them, but it's very important to see how the brush head will work with it, because that's a major part of buying the truck. Jay, how long do you need to do all of this, to review and then to call the companies and have them come down and give demonstrations?
Probably.
A week?
No, probably a couple weeks, I'm guessing. I can't imagine can bring it right away, but
Okay.
I would think a couple weeks.
So you will be in contact with Shannon and then let us know how that's progressing, and if there are other people like Mike or anybody else on the board who would like to go and see the demonstrations, would you let Shannon know if and when that would take place? Okay, thank you. Is there any more discussion about the excavator or the bids? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Jay, for coming, and thanks, Chris, for your reports and concerns. The next part of the meeting is for administrative assistance report. Shannon, please.
well, as we've already talked about, FEMA has arrived and has been meeting with towns to get set up in the system. We met with them last week, and I'll be meeting with the program delivery manager weekly until we're finished with the process. Documentation all looks like it's in good shape, and so this should be a fairly simple process as compared to the Irene process.
Okay.
We're hopeful. Just a reminder, we'll have to have a special meeting next Monday, the 14th, for the purpose of opening the second set of truck bids. And I'm just checking to see if you want to have that at 6 or is,
I think we have discussed 6 o'clock as.
well, that was
given
for the
that's-
last one. I'm just checking again.
Yeah, but
to
I
see
mean,
if 6
did we discuss anybody not available to come here at 6? Because some people work during the day. Would 6 be fine with you? Chris? Shelley?
Yeah.
Gary?
August, Monday.
Lord willing, yes.
Yes, okay. How about
Okay,
6 o'clock?
6?
Yeah,
All right.
thank you.
A while back, I reported on USDA visiting landowner sites to determine if anyone was eligible for assistance with bank stabilization where they're losing their property. One home was found eligible. They agreed to participate in the program. The program doesn't cost the town actual cash money. What it does cost is my time for doing all the bidding and the paperwork and coordination, but other than that, it doesn't cost the town money. So I'll feed you more information as it comes, but.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yep. And then the intent to convey for the glebe lands was advertised in the paper on April 26th. There's a 30-day period where people can object via petition, and once that's over, then the town can release any claim it has on their property. That's it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Question, Jay?
Shannon, don't forget the grant that we got too for the covered bridge.
Oh yeah, and we got another grant
Okay.
to fix, it's the abutment on the covered bridge. It's just a small structures grant, but they had a little bit of money left over in the pot, and we had applied. Not sure if we would get it or not, but we did, so that's great.
Great.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jay, for that too. Okay. Any motion, please, to accept the administrative assistant's report?
Make a motion.
Second,
I'll second it.
okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, the ayes have it, and thank you, Shannon, very much for your report. Okay, we are now under the topic of scheduled members of the public, and first we have Ralph Meima from Green Lantern Solar. And Ralph, if you could come up
Sure.
closer, it's very nice to see you.
Nice to see you again, too. Do you want me to sit in this chair here?
Sure, or wherever you...
Okay, sure. Yeah, I'll do that. Thank you for your time today. Thanks for including me on the agenda.
Thank you.
I just wanted to come and give you an update and answer any questions that you might have about the landfill solar project. I wanted to note that I first got in touch with Shannon about the possibility of this project about 2 years ago. So it's been a long time coming. And last summer, after approximately a year, we signed a lease. We issued the 45-day notice of intent to file for a certificate of public good back in, I think, October. And then we submitted the actual permit or CPG application in December. It went through faster than just about any project we've ever applied for. It was an 85-day processing period, and then at the end of March, so just about a year ago, a month, 6 weeks ago, we got our permit, and that surprised us. We didn't expect it really until the middle of this summer. So we're in the final stages now of getting the ownership and the financing together and getting ready to start building. We really appreciate the town's interest in doing this and your patience through the whole process. Shannon and Carol have been extremely helpful, especially in promoting it. And I wanted to just say a couple of things about the ownership of the array, because one of the things that we did from the very beginning was say that we'd like to do this as a community solar array where households and businesses, particularly in the area, can buy into it. At this point, we've had mixed success. So, and I'll explain what this means. But what that boils down to is that ideally the array would serve between 30 and 40 households or equivalent. That would be a robust array in terms of owner-customer financing. At this point, including mostly people in Newfane, but a few people from outside, like one person in Brookline, for example, there are 8 households that have signed purchase agreements and put down a deposit to buy the equivalent of anywhere from 3 or 4 to 25 panels in the array. They represent collectively something like 15% of the array's capacity. So it's fallen way short of where we had hoped to be at this point. I started to actively promote the array at the Heritage Festival back in October. Mm-hmm. So it's been, 7, 8 months or something like that. I'm not sure why it's been slow to take off, but I would say that all over the state we're finding that community solar is pretty quiet these days. The sort of initial wave of people who could afford it, who could make a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 investment for their house, have probably already done so, either through community solar or their own residential system. Now what this means is that a couple of things can happen. We can, and I'm still taking inquiries. I mean, I'm still actively trying to promote this array's availability. And so anybody here, if you haven't thought about it or if you haven't acted, this is the time to act if you'd like to be to own a piece of this array for your home electric use and go to solar and so forth. But one way that this can work out is that the available portion of the array goes to one single business owner that basically buys the rest of it as a kind of a block, or at least part of it. And I actually had a meeting this morning with Brattleboro Savings and Loan. They're potentially looking at that for their new Wilmington office. So that would be great. That double the utilization of the array. We're talking to some other investor owners as well. So we may end up with an array that's sort of partly owned by a group of households, but the majority of it is owned, or at least owned and financed by other customers. One way or the other, we will use it because there's all sorts of different demand. We're not concerned about that. But I would love to see more people in the area sign up and buy pieces of it. So I just wanted to kind of give you the update and say that we're moving ahead. We're hoping to be building by June, and I'm happy to answer any questions at this point.
Okay, thank you, Ralph. Does anybody in the audience or on the board have any questions or comments? Please, Shelley?
Well, I noticed that it's a 20-year payback.
No, it's actually 11.1 or 11.2
Oh, it's 11.1?
years. Yes, it's a 30-year agreement for ownership,
Okay.
but it's about an 11-year payback period.
Mm-hmm. And you've opened it up to other people. I know it was originally just for Newfane residents you started that with, and then you opened it up to the general public.
That's right.
And it could be anybody, anywhere?
Anybody in GMP territory,
Okay.
which is about 70% of the state's population.
Yeah.
We opened it up on April 15th, and we just didn't expect to get our permit so fast.
Mm-hmm.
We really thought it would be 6 to 9 months, which has been typical. And we are about to start a new marketing campaign on VPR sometime in the next few weeks. So that might give us some more people.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have a comment or question for Ralph? Okay, well, thank you so much for coming and updating us, and
Sure.
good luck with breaking the ground
Thank
in
you.
this.
Yep, no, we'll be talking soon, and we'll
Yes.
keep you updated and stay in constant contact with
Absolutely, Shannon. Okay.
So,
Thank you,
anyway,
Ralph,
Thank you
very
very
much.
much.
Okay, we are moving along to Ed Druke, Senior. Is that
Am I permitted to sit here?
I think you're permitted to sit wherever you'd like, Ed, and Margaret is with him. It's wonderful to
Okay.
see both of you, by the way.
Well, I got these folders out because who is that?
Laura?
The museum director.
Laura Bacon.
Oh yeah, that's right. Couldn't remember her name. Laura Bacon called me. We had talked over the years, trying to get somebody to start this up. And she was interested, and then a couple other people were last year, but then they had to finish the railroad thing
Right.
last. And so that means that they could now go ahead with this. And I looked, I think the agenda, I got an agenda here for, I'm shocked at this, on 6/24/10. That's almost 10 years ago. In other words, that's the last we worked on the Common as a committee.
10 years ago?
What's that?
You said 10 years ago was the last time you worked on it?
8 years ago, sorry.
Eight, okay.
I
Okay.
mean,
But we didn't have that.
by the way, my birthday is gonna be 87
Congratulations.
next month.
You look
No,
great
looking
as
for an
always, Ed.
excuse. So, the three things I mentioned to everybody that asked me prior to seeing this were, I thought were just three things on the agenda that we had last week, but I was wrong. Because I found this, and there's more copies of this in here, so I'm just taking these two pieces of paper home because there's more copies, but all the rest is gonna go wherever you tell me to put them. And on this, number one was the map, which I had remembered very clearly. That is the sign. including the sign, the map on the sign. And that's at one of two places. Sometime in the last 8 years, I went by there and I saw that, or walked up to the sign, and it was almost ready to go on the ground. So I called up Bucky Pelsu, and he and I took it down and put it in Jack Reed's house, which is right across the road from the town common, in his garage. And then it got put upstairs in his garage, and I called him, after Laura called me, I called him immediately, and he is not, he got hurt badly last year, and
Oh, I'm
he's
sorry.
not completely recovered, and he was hoping he could wait a month, because that's when he gets his pool stuff out of the garage, because it's upstairs, and the sign is behind it, and hard to get without the, I said, no, I thought there would be no problem with that. And then when I talked to Don Premium, you know him? You people know him?
What is it?
He's Don Preem. He's the one that has a new solar system going in up there at the top of the hill, the old Palmer spot.
Oh, yeah,
House, the old Palmer place.
yes.
I called him and he said he had the sign. So then I asked him to, if you want it, you can bring it down to my house and then it'll be down here. But I called him today or yesterday and then suggested that if he didn't intend to bring the sign right off, keep it, and then I think it would be safer up there than it would be at my house. That's all.
Okay.
Because I got an open shed, and I don't think that's a good idea. So, that's the way that is. And the second item was adding lime around. By the way, does anybody have that one? Have you got just one copy of your thing there?
What, I have several copies of that proposal that we did in 2008.
Isn't that it? It's on the
It's-
front?
Well, no, those are just other photos. Oh, they're right here.
Okay, if I could just give
Here,
them
here,
one.
I've got, let's look, I've got.
It's not
four-
urgent. but-
4 or 5
Okay.
of those.
Can you take it? Can they
They
take
can
it?
have, yeah, you can just pass them
Okay,
out.
you can make copies. Let me just open one.
Sure.
Does that include pictures of the sign on those pages?
Going up in the
Margaret, there are 4 copies here.
Oh, good, well, yeah, and so you can see there's a picture of the sign and
You
stuff.
can't see very well here,
It's not a
but
big one.
on this, there's the monument and there's the sign.
Oh, this,
The monument looks smaller, but it's bigger.
Yeah.
And that, because around
photo
it,
of the
it's tiny again, I just wanted to point out,
Uh-huh,
around the sign, it can't be mowed because it's rough.
yes.
And that item 2 was gonna be to put loam
Look at this.
around that so that they could mow it in the mow.
Yeah, at the edge.
Yeah. And number 3 was going to the, from the main monument path, going to the jail. I think they call it a jailhouse.
It's
Whatever,
the
it's
side.
a prison. It's not called prison, it's jail, I think.
Yeah, it was
And-
actually
and-
mostly underground.
Well, yeah, that's true, yeah. But all that's
But-
left is a well. And we covered that with a good rock when I was there last. We took my tractor and put a good stone over it.
They're
Yeah.
passing this down if you want to look at it.
I've seen those.
And
Yeah.
then from there on down, it's referring to Bill Gunther, and we did not have anything to do with that. What was gonna be on the agenda, I didn't remember it to be on the agenda, but it's to go and do the logging, which was done.
But what we did do was remove the barberry.
Yeah, we did that, but prior to this, we did it since April, yeah. But according to this agenda, although maybe it's on here.
Yes, Shelley.
No, I think it was done before this.
Shelley?
So I just wanted to mention to you that I'm not real familiar with the history of it, but I knew that there's the town that was up on the Newfane Hill. A lot of people don't know about it. And just to let you guys know that I was a former 18th century tour guide of the Philip Schuyler Country House in Schuylerville, New York. And I was a living history guide. So I'm interested in, cultivating the history of the town because it's a real important part of Newfane and why we're still here and why we're here down here and not up there. But I guess what you're looking to do is to have some
I'm
support.
interested in giving these up to whoever you want me to give them to. If it's you, I'll give them to you. And I'm not going to be involved in it anymore.
Okay.
But I was very surprised when I saw it was 6/24/10. That's just a few weeks before I had an aortic dissection, which was a very dangerous thing.
Yeah.
And also Jean was in losing, having memory problems.
So Ed,
So-
the project that,
That was why nothing was done by me. I just stopped doing things. I had other things I had to do.
so what you're very interested in right now is to have people take over the care and the needs of the Newfane Hill Common. Is that correct? Yes.
And there's a lot of interest. I did call
Good.
the abutting, and most of the people in the area around there, not even abutting, I called them just to let them know that I was gonna come here tonight and turn this over, and that Laura Bacon might be the one that's spearheading this.
Okay.
It's up to you. That's a
Okay.
whole call.
Okay. So what you would be doing is handing over your materials to the select board. Is this correct?
If you
And we can
choose
hold
us,
it
yeah.
and we can find out, or
Yeah.
somebody might call, or a group of people might call to say they're interested
Yeah.
in taking over. Shelley?
Had you spoken with the Wyndham Historical Society?
That is Laura Bacon.
That's Laura
Oh,
Bacon.
okay.
She's the head
She's
of
the
it.
one that we talked about it a couple of years ago.
Okay,
And then, as I said, the prison took preference.
right, okay.
And so now that was done, and every call I have, like Jack Reed, he's hurting, but he wants to be involved in that. So
Oh, good.
we got, and that's just a neighbor there. But I've got, this is a mess, but I do have lots of names. And there's a list of names here, more on this side, but there's probably more than that too.
So then I have a question, Ed, to everybody here. Shelley, you immediately said that you've done something very similar to this.
Yes.
And would you like to be the person to take over the material and be in charge of it right now, representing the select board? Would you like to do that?
I would, because I could assist.
Would that work for you?
My only suggestion is get Laura involved immediately. because
Absolutely.
She's the one that's spearheading.
Yeah.
Yeah, we work together on the Green
Sure,
Up
that's
Committee.
fine.
Yeah, so I'm aware of who she is.
You are?
Yes.
Yeah, you should know her.
Or were you considering giving it to Laura, or do you want us to?
No,
Oh, okay.
either you or Laura.
Okay.
I think
Well,
it's just as quick for her to get it to
Yeah.
you, from you.
I can recommend Shelley very highly. She's a very conscientious person and a great select board person, and I would trust her with it, I'm sure she'll do.
By the way, we cooperated with the town all the time. We had one of the selectmen mostly at our meetings, at least. So it was town involvement. when it came to logging, we turned the logging over to Bill Gunther and the selectmen, and they handled the logging and took the money. We didn't have anything to do with it whatsoever.
So is there property that's owned by the town up
Yeah,
there?
how many acres, Chris, do you know? I forgot, it might be in this. You got-
I got a lot to read.
Yeah,
We'll keep it busy, Sharon.
It was donated in 1941.
they got,
Oh.
these are in here. I'm gonna pass,
Yeah.
hand them to you.
And
No sense of
on
me-
the condition that it be maintained as a common.
Yeah, that's right. They got all those papers in there.
This is the original.
No, they got it.
Oh, they got it in
Yeah, she's got
there. It's
it.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
Don't make a copy
It says
more,
it
wait till
somewhere.
you see it.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank
I
you
wanna,
so much.
I wanna read it though.
That's great.
The property bounded, where is the measurement?
Well, I
Bounded
just,
north by land of E.C. Brooks and land of Charles Field, east by the A.J. Grout Road, so-called, and E.C.
Would it be about
Brooks,
6
south of-
acres or so?
Yeah, I think.
Chris? Do you think it would be about 6 acres?
I can't hear what you're saying.
Would it be
Do you
about
think-
6 acres?
Do you think it's about 6
I don't
acres?
have a clue. Yeah, probably in that vicinity.
Doris, do you know?
I think it is.
Yeah, there's a lister. We should have asked her first.
I don't have them all memorized.
that's fascinating. And it's also very, very important for the history, the cultural heritage of this area, and also for tourism, and to draw new and interested people in the history of this area.
Margaret?
Yeah, another thing you need to keep in mind is that not all the markers are on that property that's owned by the town. There's about 4 on there, and then another 8 are down the road, like on other,
On private
you know, and
property.
Jack has 2 or 3 in his yard.
Yeah,
Where
they're
the
scattered
academy
all over,
was,
but
in the
there's a
some
lot
of
of
the
people
stores,
that'll
at
help
that
you
corner,
on
there were
that.
stores and things.
That's no
So,
problem.
you know, if you're gonna have people going, traveling there, we gotta be careful about them, about respecting the private property too.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I still have connections with the 18th century day traveling brigades of people that come and do encampments. And I helped develop a 18th century day. So it was an opportunity for people to learn how people lived back then, learning how to make candles, you know, herbs for their medicinal and eating purposes, spinning wool, dyeing wool with natural, you know, herbs, etc. So interesting, yeah.
Well, it's funny. In that picture, Margaret has a in that folder, a piece of paper that she gave up. She had a picture of a lady slipper,
Oh, really?
and right,
Yep, yep.
and we knew about. So she was photographing around there, and she took a picture of this lady slipper. Well, we were trying to keep it quiet so nobody'd know about it, because it's in that line of trees just above the common, where you go up, where you walk up into the common itself,
It's a dangerous
and
plant or
it's
something?
in
No,
there's
no,
a
no.
power line.
It's rare.
Rare.
Yeah, they're very rare. Yeah.
Ah,
And you don't want
Lovely.
people to take any of them.
But they were all in front of where the side of the old meeting house, which is up above where the courthouse was. The lady slippers.
The ones we saw were
Really?
between the road and the power line,
Yeah.
which is very,
Well, there were a
very
lot of
close
them
to,
there.
you know, it's in the public right of way, I think.
very nice.
So it would be good to see if they're still there. I've never looked here.
Doris, you raising your
I
hand?
was just going to comment about in the history of Newfane, the books that have been done about history of Newfane, there's already some information in there about the common that you might want to look at too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you so much,
Do my
Ed, for
best.
all the things you've done for Newfane in all these many, many years.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
It's fun.
And Margaret, you're always busy and you're the most creative person. Margaret is an incredible artist.
Nice.
You'll have to get to know her.
Nice.
She's really amazing. She lives up on Newfane Hill also. So, anything else? So, thank you. Ed, we're going to take very good care of this. Shelley will be in charge.
I'm
We'll
on
put
it.
it in a
You've
safe.
got a lot of work to do. There's
You'll have to
historical
quit your
stuff.
job. You have to quit your
Historical
job.
stuff and
Give myself a grant.
I hadn't touched it for all that time. I just never had time. In fact, I was lucky I kept it intact. 3 folders.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much, Ed, for coming here.
We should have turned that over because you discontinued, whoever was on the, whatever board it was that discontinued us, should have demanded those from me. I shouldn't have kept them. Lucky I didn't have a fire. That's because I had an outside boiler.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So, that's it. Is that good? Thank you, Ed. And you know what? We'll be in touch with you.
Yep,
Okay?
thank you.
And Margaret also. Okay, so we are now going on to the next part of the select board meeting, and that is unscheduled members of the public. Are there any unscheduled members? Sir, are you on, is your
I
name?
couldn't quite hear you. I believe it is scheduled to have some discussion about the Williamsville speed limit and
Okay.
traffic control. That's what I hear about. My name's
That will
Steve.
take care of it.
Yes, okay, so actually, since there are no unscheduled members,
That
we'll
right
move
there, that'll
right
take care of
along
the
to you.
speed limit. That's my opinion.
This is Breeze Verdant, and he's here to talk about the Williamsville traffic issue. Breeze had sent a letter to the board a while
Right
ago.
there,
Yes,
that'll take care of it.
oh, okay. You'll tell him this.
Well, then you'll know where the problem is.
Exactly, no. So Breeze, if you would like to come up closer to us, and if you give us a quick review about what you wrote about, and it was
Would you like a chair?
filmed.
Closer is where?
Anywhere. You can pull up a chair.
Okay. Joining the table?
But what I'd like you to do is face the camera so that the public will be able to hear you on video.
Sounds fun.
Okay, so we did read your letter a few weeks ago, and I thank you very much for coming here in person. And if you just give us a quick reminder and the public, then we can respond to you.
Okay, well, I moved to Williamsville originally in 1995. There was a traffic problem in 1995, just walking to the post office. And I now own a house in Williamsville, and now actually I'm starting to even reside on Main Street. And I tend to walk around a lot, I'm a pedestrian. And there's clearly a long-term difficulty in Williamsville. It's pretty obvious to me. I almost got hit this winter, and my girlfriend has waved to people to slow down. We've been received with curses and fingers out the window. And I've, in preparing for this to come here, just talked to a couple of people and heard stories about people throwing snow shovels at offending speeders, hitting their car, and they're not even slowing down. There's a clearly an issue that's prompted me to step forward. And what I had originally mentioned in the letter is that Williamsville, unfortunately, is right on a major road to Mount Snow ski resort, and the type of person I would venture to say that's driving through there is trying to hustle to get to the ski mountain. They like fast things. They like to ski fast. They like to drive fast, and they're trying to get home. They just go whipping right through. I'm sure all you people have mentioned this. I've been out on Route 30 with the people on their tail, anxious to get to the condominiums and to their ski resorts. But we in Williamsville have a small concentration of houses that really constitutes a village, and there's a conflict there. And coming here today, I prepared a bunch of stuff, but I just took a drive through Williamsville and out the other side, et cetera, and I realized that I see a lot of speed limit signs. You know, I see that obviously people have been doing a lot of work here. And it's kind of interesting when you're talking about it and you're upset about it, then it's kind of like, looks like there's us and there's the board and why isn't anything done. But as I take a ride through with an open mind, I realize that, wow, there are speed limit signs everywhere. However, something ain't working, which is why I'm here. And I think anybody who, is there anybody not familiar with what I'm talking about? Is there anyone here, I'm wondering, that knows that does not know there's a problem in Williams?
Right. No, we are aware.
I'm aware of it now.
I lived in Williamsville Village for over 25 years.
I'm sure.
Right in the village.
Right, I know where you live now. Yep. So you know how it is, and I can't imagine having a dog or having young kids, et cetera, et cetera. So tonight, a conversation kind of unfolded in a different direction for me, which was first off recognizing that, okay, I'm trying to come up with I'm a practical person. I know this town doesn't have unlimited resources to throw at the situation. People are volunteers, I believe. Mm-hmm. You have a tight budget that's being stretched. So what are some practical solutions? So one of them was, the first one that comes to me is, it's about raising...
Yes. I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you for 1 minute because we have already spoken tonight about something that could help you very much. So if Chris, would you like to read this to him? And then
Well, I'll explain what it is. It's a thing that goes in the radar, tells how fast you're going.
Yep.
It documents everything.
Yeah, you have one at the west end of town right now. Thank you.
Yes, but it doesn't have the thing in it. So we don't know. It just shows your speed.
Doesn't count.
But this will count it and tell how many people are going fast. It'll do everything.
It'll take
what time of day?
Yes.
Yeah, what time of day.
a reading. It'll give statistics.
Right. So this was part of the road foreman's report, and he gave us a description of the piece of equipment, and we have it in the budget.
Yes.
Right. So we are going to be buying that.
Well, is that permanent? Will it stay there?
That thing goes Williamsville, South Newfane.
It'll get moved around. That's smart.
It moves around. It goes, but it documents your speed, time of day, wherever it is.
So it's an information gatherer, but obviously the most effective thing you can do is put in people's faces that they're speeding. And I meant to start off tonight by saying thank you very much. I felt like wow, you guys put that thing up. I've seen it there before, but I saw that there. I felt really good about it. So that, I think, is a big help. There's a whole lot of subtleties. I don't know how much time I have here, but it's a matter of consciousness, people's attention. People are not paying attention. They're just racing, and we all know how it is. I've been on Depot Road with somebody texting in the middle of those tight curves coming straight at me across the road. They don't have their attention. They're going into the bridge in Williamsville, the arch bridge, and people don't see the sign for the bridge to yield. Their attention is not there, so how do we get their attention? So my first thought was make them realize village of Williamsville. You have a village here, an entity. The village of Williamsville, speed limit. And I thought about, painted crosswalks, but I'm thinking from the post office and the eatery, where are they going? Into a dirt road? That seems kind of dumb. But then somebody mentioned, well, we do have a school in Williamsville. We technically have the Timpson school. And then I went, well, it's a little off the road, but that took my mind to when you go into Brattleboro and you go on Cedar Street, we all cut up through Cedar Street. There's 2 stop signs on Cedar Street. Is a stop sign there because those tiny little side roads really needed a stop sign? No. They're visual speed bumps that the town put in there as a ploy to slow down traffic. I would say, call it what you will, they had a little allowance with the rules. I'm sure usually a stop sign goes where you have a certain element of crossroads. You don't have that there. They stuck those there to slow down the traffic because people have kids. So that brought my mind to, okay, we do have a school in Williamsville. If it was declared a school zone with some signs saying slow school zone, that could get on people's radar. As well as the crosswalks, which don't cost that much to paint, even though they're going into a dirt road. You know, you can't solve a problem with the same way of thinking that created the problems, et cetera, et cetera. If you're trying to play by the rules, we're stuck. This thing's been stuck for 20 years. There was a big thing done about it 15 years ago. Nothing happened. And it's getting worse. So what I'm saying is, what about allowing a little bit here with the rules to create a higher consciousness with people? Number one, the village designation is not bending the rules. You probably don't really need a crosswalk painted in there. That is bending the rules. And maybe Timpson Hill School is enough off the road where you don't have to have school zone. But putting school zone in there could really get people's attentions. I saw on the internet today where people, to slow their traffic down, they put kids' bikes right down next to the road so it looks like some kids are playing nearby. They said that works real good.
Chris,
Somebody took and wrote in the road and had a bicycle, and I know who did it.
No, you don't. I bet you think you know who did it.
And I believe the state police made them take the stuff away.
No, I made him take it down.
That is a bunch of BS, writing that stuff in the middle of the town
Okay.
road.
Well,
So I have to address this because I think you probably think Annie Landenberger did it. This is in front of her house. Somebody else put it in front of her house, which was highly offensive to her and to me. And we got right on the horn of these people and said, that is totally offensive. Get that out of there. Paint it over now. That's what happened.
Well, that was very offensive to me to see that.
Well, it was very offensive to me. That was my initial, same response as yours. That's bullshit. You don't do stuff like that. So please erase from your mind where you're thinking that came from. I'm not going to disclose who put it there, but it was out of line.
Shelley, did you want to say something?
well, I just, don't think it's really necessary to raise your voice and stuff, but I was just trying to keep it even. So,
What?
just the conversation,
I don't know what you mean.
Well, to his remark, I
Well,
mean,
the
it
whole
was
thing
just,
is like on this thing here with this, the document it, is that way, we do hire the state police.
Right.
And this way, if they get spots that have problems at certain times of day, weekends, whatever, we could have them make sure they sit there that time of day.
Don't they have, I've seen in the papers where they listed the number of hours that state police are contracted for this whole county, and is it kind of like really grossly understated though? I mean, I don't mean to diss, I think it's a great idea to get the statistics of what is happening and how fast people are going, then you know the facts and what you're dealing with. That's a good step to move forward.
We have had counters put in the road. Now I can't think who did it, Wyndham Regional, I think. Put the counters in the road and the speeds, and you'll be surprised how few people are really going too fast. You've got your fistful that do, but most of the people drive within reason. And it's proven it right there with the counters.
Well, I think it'd be really good to get this in there and see what they actually are doing to get the facts, because I don't feel safe walking down to Williamsville. If I had children, I would not let my kids go through there. Some girl, or a 10-year-old, went riding through on her bike on Sunday. We're like, oh my God, I wouldn't let my kid do that.
Chris, excuse me, isn't that somebody mentioned you did, it's a state highway?
It's a through highway.
It's a through highway. So who is in charge of that
It's
road?
federally funded, right?
They're federally funded, the town's in charge of it.
So do you, as a road commissioner, have authority on that road?
Well, we take care of it.
You
It's
take care
just-
of it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
so you putting a crosswalk, I like all the ideas that you had. and making it a more village-oriented designation to people, in people's minds. And the stop signs are great ideas to slow traffic down. So I think they're all great ideas. And I think you can put a crosswalk across that road.
Yeah,
It's
but
not
there's
a
no
state-
place to go to with a crosswalk.
Yeah,
They don't even really have a shoulder to walk on.
That's
So
what I'm
it's
saying,
very-
it's about
Yeah.
bending, it's about making a little allowance, just like the stop signs on Cedar Street really aren't there because those little side
Right,
roads
no.
are getting a lot of
It's
traffic.
yeah.
I just think the playing field needs to be open. The best thing I hear is that school. If it can be a school zone, then it'll take a couple signs, school zone.
it's so far off the road, that doesn't get it.
The driver doesn't know that.
Well, I think the more that, people are able to feel comfortable walking to the post office and going to the eatery or going to the Grange or whatever, it's their village, it's their town, and they want to feel comfortable with it. So I think it's important to consider, some options of, that would be more village or, kind of mindset.
That's what we like. We like to have a village. We don't have that right now. Sure, it looks great when you're driving through, but... And we all know the thing about, like I said, people so distracted with their cell phones. It's so many people racing to the ski mountain, trying to get home at night. It probably shifts a bit in the summer when the skiing traffic cools out a bit. But it's not a comfortable place to walk through. When I walk through Williamsville, I don't just walk through Williamsville. I walk out in the road and I'm looking like I'm stumbling around intentionally. That's my
Why?
speed control. Trying to get people to just slow down in there.
Aren't you afraid you might get hit by?
I'm paying attention, they're not gonna hit me, but I kind of make them look like I'm gonna trip or fall or something, just to slow people down. And all I can say is, I've got the stories here of people walking with their kids and waving to people to slow down and people screaming out the windows at them. It's all out of state plates. I've had it happen to me. I've been passed in the middle of Lakeville. It's a problem.
It is a problem. It's a problem all over with cell phones and texting. My husband was hit on Route 30 by a car and it was totaled. His truck was totaled. He spun around right by the Dummerston Bridge because a woman had, from this area, but Verdant actually, she had just bought a new used car for herself. And she immediately told the police what happened. She was driving the car, it was a rainy day, and she didn't know how to turn the volume, on the radio. So she started fooling with the radio knobs, and she acknowledged this to the police right away, that she got sidetracked, and she went into the other lane, and my husband was coming, and he spun around twice, and thank God he was okay. So, I know firsthand about, people who are not focused on the roads, and it's very frightening. But unfortunately, it's all over.
It's all over. This just happens to be a hot spot.
I often wonder too, just thinking about things there, maybe that 25-mile-an-hour speed limit is too long.
Too
And
high.
that's,
Too high, you mean?
no, not too high. It's hard to go 25 anyways.
It's hard to go 25.
I mean, it really should almost be like 30, and people might pay more attention to it than they would at 25. But the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit starts clear up by Lynn's. Like it
Covered
is.
bridge.
No, it's up here by the other one too, where you
Well, it's
come
just-
from East Dover. Where we stockpile the dirt,
Right.
that slows down 25 there, and I think it's all the way down to Williamsville. So I mean, you got a mile or two or whatever, it's 25-mile-an-hour zone. Maybe something like that should be 30, 35 up here, and right in the village it's just 25. But I mean, by the time you get to the village, if it's supposed to be 25 here, you're just sliding on through at that point. Instead of paying attention to one section, you got 2 miles of road that's doing that.
Doris?
I don't believe that it's 25 from Lynn's house all the way to...
Well, I'm pretty sure it drops right at 25 right there, just below her house.
It does,
It does, but it doesn't-
35 right by.
But it
the
changes
Moore's
again.
house.
So then it goes back up.
Yep, and
Yeah,
then
it
it
goes
turns
back
to
up.
25 just before the covered bridge again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But it is a long stretch.
Like I said, maybe
Now,
sometimes
flat
people
is
pay attention
25.
more if it's 30 instead of 20, because I tell you, you're riding your brakes just to go through there at 25.
I agree. You know, I would expect people to go 25. I agree 25 is hard to go, and it is a pretty good stretch there. I don't know what the designation is for that. Do they count the number of houses per mile to designate the speed limit, or?
I think it's just something
It's
Foreman
arbitrary.
did years ago and put it in it.
Yeah, I've read it. I read it in the, gosh, I can't remember, but it's all listed, each road and what their limitations or the speed limits are set at.
Doris?
You have to do a traffic study. The traffic study was done some time ago.
Right.
They check to see what the speed is, and then they do a traffic study, the times and so forth, then they set the speed limits. Because it was at a time when all of Newfane roads were 35 miles an hour. There was nothing to need, or 50, one or the other. They were, and they had to do traffic studies to determine what the mile per hour signs should be.
I think I'm one of the, maybe I'm one of the rare people. I am so conscientious about speed limits. That when I'm coming into Newfane, I mean, I live here, so I know I'm just about to hit 30 miles an hour, and people behind me, out-of-staters, don't know that, but I mean, I just slow down to no matter what the speed limit is. Truthfully, I don't want to get a ticket. In addition to, not wanting to have an accident or hurting anybody.
You're a traffic hazard.
I'm a traffic hazard because I follow the speed limit. Yeah. I don't know. So, well, I think the first thing is that we are going to get this piece of equipment, and I think that's our first step to keep working with this. And we all totally understand what has been going on. We thank you for the letter you wrote and the fact that you're here tonight. And I think we can discuss some of the things that you suggested, and we'll be in touch with you. You can be in touch with us. But as Chris said, we just have approved getting that piece of equipment, and so we're continuing on this. Shelley?
There's those red signs about drive like your kids live here. So they're all over on Dover Road. I see them going up Dover Road. And they're just the plastic, metal stand things. I don't know if there's something like that that can be done to sort of start the process of people identifying that it's a village. And there's kids and there's elders and people living in those houses.
Well, we have considered doing that. I don't know if anybody's driven by People's Memorial Park, where the people just set house after house after house after house. There's about 8 of them in a row saying speed limit is whatever it is, 35 through there. So we've discussed doing that. We know most everybody in the village is upset. I was looking at signs before I came here that how to buy them in bulk. 25 mile per hour speed signs that gets put in everybody's yard, which is kind of an eyesore. But if we're willing to do that, we could get any kind of a petition going if we wanted to. But in closing, I would just say that I think what I'm saying is, if there, something can be done to bring to the average driver's attention that you are entering a village. Something that gets on their radar. I know I applaud, and I'm glad you're going to measure and get the statistics and the facts. I know there's kind of a classic thing there. Oh, we got to do another study, And the study was done 15 years ago, and people in the village were on committees, and they were all pretty upset because nothing got done. So hopefully this device will give you some statistics and hopefully some inexpensive, creative ideas to unfold. I'd be curious about the distance between the school and the road to see if legally it could qualify. Or if not.
It's not on the same road even, so.
Well, I think there's schools that are just on the same side road right there that still qualify. When there's kids around there, that's a school zone. It's a school zone. It's not the school's front yard, it's a zone. And that could be a very inexpensive way to get people to realize we're in a village, there's a school. Slow down. wouldn't cost a whole lot of money just to put a couple school zone signs
And
up.
I agree, I think most people, when they see a school zone, they slow down, because it's, the tickets are doubled or whatever,
Yeah.
it's just more expensive.
Very effective means right there, so.
Well, the whole thing is, you know, GPS, they show that's a shorter route, and the traffic is, every year is getting more and more traffic, you know?
Faster, more distracted.
Keep the speed limit down to a certain spot and make the cars go twice as fast.
Well, thank
Okay,
you.
thanks for hearing me out.
Thank you very much for coming, Reese. And we'll keep in touch with you, and you can write to us anytime or come back.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Okay. Okay. I'm just looking at the agenda right now because we said that we would discuss the bid policy during old business, under old business, but Doris is here for Lister vacancy, and I think it would be great if we could move her up ahead so she doesn't have to stay here any later. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Is that all right with you?
thank you. Doris?
Do you want him to have this?
I'm gonna take it.
Yes.
Okay, got it. I don't want to spill it. Yes, Doris, that's me.
Okay, Lister vacancy.
Can I sit here?
Thank you. Okay, Doris.
They're ready for you.
Okay, what?
Okay. Would you like to introduce,
As you
This
are
topic.
aware, Lynn Forrest resigned from the listers. She had one more, her term was the beginning of March of this next year. So she has that, so what the board needs to do is appoint someone to take that position until March of next year. She left about a week ago,
April
26th
26th? or something.
26th of April. So what you have, I think, that Shannon gave to you is what a lister does, what the responsibilities are.
I actually gave them resumes, but
Oh, you gave them the resumes?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. There are 3 people that have applied to be possibly appointed to the position.
Mhm.
And I think that if you're gonna have a interview with those 3 people, I'd be happy to participate in that. And Shannon's handing you out what
The responsibilities,
a brief
yeah.
thing. We have a handbook that's at least as big as the select board handbook,
Yeah.
so this is just a brief, it's true, of what the responsibilities, an overview of the responsibilities of what
I mean, I read through this afternoon, and there's quite a lot of responsibility.
Oh, yes.
In this job.
yes, there is.
Amazing number of things that somebody needs to learn, and so much work that has to be done, and you have to be able to work with other people in cooperation also.
Yeah. And the reason why it's a 3-year term is because anyone will tell you that you need 3 years to understand what the position
Right.
really is. And so they have 3 years, everybody's term is 3 years, but it overlaps so that there's no new person. You don't want you don't want 3 new people in the lister's office at one time, brand new.
Otherwise, you'd probably have to hire an assessor to come in to do the work or whatever. But this gives you a brief overview of what the lister's tasks are, knowledge of the real estate market. We do comparables. We look online to see what properties for sale, compare them to what we have for the value, and what people are trying to sell them for. It doesn't mean that they're going to get that amount. We keep track of all of these property transfers. We send out a questionnaire to both the buyer and the seller. The questionnaire is based on questions that the state wants to know about for our sales study. Because every year they do a sales study, and then the sales study comes up with the CLA and the COD. The CLA is the common level of appraisal, and the COD is the coefficient of dispersion. Those numbers relate to taxes. So you have to be it's detailed information. Coming up, we'll have to have all the information together to develop the grand list for which the select board will set the tax rate. But before that happens, we send out notices to everybody whose value has changed. And then they can come to us to grieve their assessment, but people can grieve their assessment even if there wasn't a change. Every year, property owners have the right to come and grieve their assessment. We already have 3 people, I think, whose assessment didn't change, but they want to grieve. So they come and they would make an appointment, sit down with the listers, we review what they have to say, we make a determination, let them know what it is, and then we establish the grand list. We give the number to the select board sets the tax rate for the town. The state sets the education tax rate. And then from there, you might have people they have to come to us first. If they don't like our determination, then they can go to the Board of Civil Authority. But in the meantime, we have to also go out and look at all of these places where they have building new buildings, adding sheds, adding decks, adding all of the stuff that comes to us from Merle subdivisions, lots of stuff. We're waiting for across the street to finish though too, but aren't we all? We've had, I think this year we've got 3 or 4 new houses, which is kind of, we haven't had any new houses for a while. And then we had another house that was substantially improved from what it had been, which added quite a bit. So hopefully the grand list is not going down. We didn't have any floods that lost property or any of that kind of stuff, because that happens to us once in a while. Yeah.
So, you have a vacancy. Do you want to say something?
I just want to ask a question. Is it a paid position? I don't know too much about government.
Have you worked
here.
on the budget? There's a line item for salaries for listers.
Okay.
Yes, you get paid so much an hour, depending upon what the select board decides the hourly rate is.
Okay.
And it averages, we figure when we budget, it's 10, 12 hours a week per person.
Okay.
Some of us work more, some of us work less.
Is it a flat rate or something? It's not hourly?
It's an hourly rate.
Oh, okay.
It's an hourly rate. But when we budget for 10 or 12 hours per person, just to say, well, this person works 14 hours a week, and this person that, it's like, no. It averages out to, yeah.
So Doris, you want a group, you said 3 people, is that correct?
There's 3 people that have applied.
No, I don't mean that. I mean, you want to form a little committee, you have said.
Interview them.
To interview the people.
Right.
Okay. And you are going to be on the committee?
I would like to do this.
Okay. I think it's important that you would be on it, given that you're the one who does the work. There's also Frank Samponsky, who is the other lister, but he would not be on the committee with you, is that correct?
I
Or-
don't think he needs to be.
Okay,
I would rather see a couple of select board people
okay.
and
Two
myself.
select.
At least two select board members and
Okay.
myself. And I don't
Okay,
know if you need anybody else,
okay.
to be honest, or not.
Is there anybody on the select board who would like to work with Doris to do this,
To interview
to interview? I'll
the
I'll
candidates.
volunteer if you would like. Is there anybody else who would like to? Mike?
If nobody else wants to, I guess.
Okay, great.
Gary don't want to do it.
No, after last Monday's meeting, when my experience in Vermont was questioned, I'm not taking on anything that involves Vermont law, so one of you guys will need to do it.
Well, this is just appointing someone to fill a position. Now, if the person was elected, we have anything to say
Yeah,
about
if you
it.
don't want it like that.
No, I'm backing way away from things, so, no.
Okay, so Mike, you would do it?
Well, you didn't hear Chris. If he
Or
wants
you want to do it, Chris? How about you and Mike?
Sounds good.
You're doing it then.
Well, I can do it.
Yeah, we can do it if you want, I'll do it. Mike,
Well,
I don't
I
care.
think we
I
can't
don't-
have three, is
I've
that
already-
Well,
correct?
you could, you just need to warn it, that's all.
Okay.
You just need to do it, that's all.
Okay, so how about if the three of us do it?
Okay, whatever.
Is that good?
Whatever.
Okay, so you warn it and when,
I'm doing the history.
yeah.
Okay, so the three.
We all are getting things to do. Okay, so Doris, when would you like to do this? Sooner than later, I assume?
Yeah. And I don't know the availability of the three people, I'm not sure
Okay,
what would be a good time.
well, these two gentlemen work, so I don't know if you want to do it at night, or Mike, what would you want?
Whenever they want to do it.
Daytime?
Whenever.
Well, Doris, can you, what would you like? Daytime, evening?
Well, if it's evening, I'd like it to be early enough, you know, like
Okay, what time?
5:30 or 6 or something like that.
Okay. Right now, we have another select board meeting coming up next Monday. Can we do it next week?
Sure.
Or you want to do it this week? I'm a little busy this week. I don't know if they are.
I've got something on Wednesday and
Yeah.
Thursday myself, so.
Yeah. Can we do it next week?
Sure.
How about Tuesday, the 15th? Would that work for you, Mike? Would that work for you?
I guess you
Well,
have
who's
to
doing
check
it? I
with
still-
people you're interviewing.
You and me do it, or?
No, the three of us.
Oh, you can't do
Shannon
that,
said-
we can't do that.
You said we have to warn it.
You just have to warn it, but you can do it.
That's what she said.
Oh,
We
okay.
gotta check with the availability of the three people that we're talking about too.
Well, Doris called the three people, see what night's good for them.
Okay. Then let you know.
Yeah. And if you only need two people, it doesn't bother me, no. I got
No,
plenty
no.
to do.
I mean, why can't we make it today?
Oh, if it's all right, then we can.
Okay,
you
you
know. I said we will,
Tuesday the
but,
15th?
Well, it doesn't have to be warned if there's only two of us, that's all.
Okay. Shannon, is it difficult? Is that,
It's not hard to warn you.
no, okay,
Whatever.
okay. How about, what time, Doris, on Tuesday?
We don't know if they're available.
I have to check with their availability first.
What would the date be?
I was saying the 15th, but,
Oh,
15.
so we would have all three people?
Well, I would think so, yeah, you start with, I wouldn't think it'd take more than 20 minutes per person.
So about an hour, a total of an hour.
Yeah.
Okay. So may I suggest Tuesday, the 15th, and if you could see if they're available
Yeah.
and what time, and you'll let us know?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Shannon. Doris. Okay. Is there anything else that you need to discuss about this?
Anybody have any more questions about wanting to be a lister?
Em, I have to ask you something. You mentioned that you might have to change the battery.
I think I'm okay for about another hour.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Unless you want to change it now.
we ain't gonna be,
Ain't much left anyway.
we haven't got much to do anyway.
Okay, all right. So we're continuing. So thank you, Doris, for being
Oh, you're
here.
welcome.
We are under old business, and Shelley, you asked to talk about the bidding policy.
Yeah, I was reviewing it and sorry I missed your meeting. So when I was reviewing it, I noticed there was no date on it. And, I
I
think,
looked back in the minutes, it does say at the bottom, adopted the 4th day of December, but there's no year. It was December 4th, 2014.
See you.
Good night, thank you.
Thank you.
so I have copies if people wanted to look at them.
No, I haven't.
You have one?
The town policy. Yeah. Do you need the town policy, Mike?
You have one. Do you have one?
I'm sorry?
You have one?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So anyways, I don't know, just the purpose of the purchasing policy is to obtain the highest quality goods and services for the town of Newfane at the lowest possible price, to exercise financial control over the purchasing process, to clearly define authority for the purchasing function, to allow fair and equal opportunity among qualified suppliers, and to provide for increased public confidence in the procedures followed in public purchasing. And, what stood out on this is, to me, was the fact that to find, the lowest possible price and to exercise financial control over the purchasing process. So, I've done bids in the past, and, I just wanted to kind of review this with everybody because I just think when there's a policy that we should refer to the policy at hand, if we're doing bids, and if, that would kind of help everyone with understanding what this previous body of select board members chose to do. And, I reviewed the minutes, and I just, some comments were made about the ensuing discussion, along with, decisions of, well, I don't really care how much it's, I want the town to be comfortable with it, the town crew.
Can you quote that from the minutes, please? Can you go back and read that from the minutes?
From the minutes, the actual minutes?
Yeah, you was quoting something from the minutes.
Yes.
Yeah, just read what you're referring to.
Says, Marion noted that she didn't care which truck was purchased, but felt it was important for the crew to be comfortable with the equipment they were using. And, that kind of stood out.
What is the question about that?
Well, it's not a question, it's just a statement.
No, but you were saying you had questions about the bidding policy, so what is the question about that
It's about the
statement?
lowest possible price in exercising, if a bid comes in, that we all understand that we're looking at, the same things, and what the request is. I mean, originally, I thought bids were kind of decided by the board whether or not they even go out to bid. So when we got the bids in, or when they went out, in my mind, it said to me, I don't remember as a select board member knowing that we decided on the bids to go out. So, that's generally kind of I would think, a decision that the board would make, that, even though it's in the budget, it's been approved, by the town, I just didn't know what the authority was of how the bidding process happened, because all of a sudden there were bids out. So I just was taking a look at what the bidding process is.
Did you read the criteria for bid selection on the next page?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's not just, there's a lot to consider.
Right. Oh, I definitely know. I mean, I've done this in my professional life. But I guess my question to the board, you know, being new, is what is the process? You know, it just felt as though there was a lot of discussion, ensuing discussion, and I apologize for not being here, but I just kind of wanted to review these and say to everyone, is this how we're going to proceed? You know, using these policies, or is there something else that I should know?
Well, first of all, that meeting wasn't videoed. So when you say that you know that there was a lot of conversation, where did you get that from?
Ensuing conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, but what
In the
did you hear
minutes.
about it?
it's in the minutes.
That there was a lot of conversation?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, did you know that the agenda said discussion topics? The agenda said that we were going to have a discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is the question about?
It's
There were a
not,
lot of discussion.
Mary,
yes.
it's not about a question, it's about a statement. And I think I made a question. The question was, are these the purchasing policies for the town of Newfane?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Because they're printed.
Okay.
here.
They're printed, but
I
are
mean,
we
these are the,
abiding by these, I guess is the question.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay. So I just made myself, more knowledgeable about it by reading it.
Mhm.
So I'm more prepared. And I guess, I didn't see the date on it, so I didn't know when they were done. And my other question would be, do you think, or as a board, should we review these and bring them up to date? And, it's 2018, has anything changed? And should we all make agreement, since this was done by a previous select board, of how we're going to proceed?
Yes, Gary?
I also participated in that conversation last Monday. And as it says here in the very first sentence, highest quality goods at lowest possible price. That says to me, lowest qualified bid, which I've said over and over, that should be our criteria. However, staff and Miriam believe that we should be able to buy whatever we want, regardless of what it costs, just by picking it. Whoever makes the decision just picks it. And frankly, I was deeply insulted because I've had many years of purchasing experience. And to say that there's not the highest quality goods and the lowest possible price makes me really wonder, because that seems to be what we voted on in 2014, or they did. And it's the first sentence of the purchasing policy. That's really got me riled. We're not doing the best job for the citizens of this town if we don't follow this requirement. No ifs, ands, or buts. It's state law, it's also...
No, it's not a state law.
Excuse
State
me, it's
law.
not, excuse me. Please, Gary, please make sure you know what you're talking about, because I have the bidding policy from the state, and I also spoke to the attorney up there.
The number one thing under bid specifications is bid name, bid submission, and then price is the number of items that we are to use and review. The idea that you can just go out and pick anything you want is not correct. Because if it were, then, well, we just have people bring a bunch of trucks in here, and we just pick the one we like. This one's a nice color, we'll pick it.
I haven't spoken to anybody. I've heard it in just rumors of what had happened, and there was no collusion on this. It was just my own investigation. So it's just a question I like to know if we're going to follow procedure or we're not going to follow procedure.
Well, I answered you.
As a board.
Procedure.
Yeah, I would think it would be procedure. I mean, that's how I like to
Well,
work
that's what we have
things.
the policy for, so. I mean, do we have to re-adopt this policy, or is it still good from?
It's good until it gets re-adopted or amended.
The state of Vermont does not have
Yeah, I know. but
any
we're not-
say, no, I know. They say
Are you
that,
saying the VLCT did not take their guidance from the state of Vermont?
excuse me, what?
Are you saying that VLCT?
Wait a minute, Gary,
I raised my hand then.
yeah, what is it that you want to say?
Are you saying that VLCT did not take its guidance in providing us with this policy outline from the state of Vermont's laws?
Shannon?
Sorry, I can answer that. That is correct. VLCT felt that Vermont law was not inclusive enough because Vermont law doesn't have bidding laws. So VLCT actually drafted a plan for towns to follow because Vermont law doesn't include it. So VLCT went above and beyond Vermont law.
So are you saying then that we should not follow VLCT since they are our guide?
I didn't
Are
say
you
that.
saying that we should follow state law?
I'm saying we should follow whatever's written here for the town of
That's what I thought we
Newfane.
were supposed to be doing. And I got in trouble last week for doing it. It ain't gonna happen again.
I'd make a motion, we follow the purchasing policy that we've got in place, unless you're gonna change it. And it's been adopted, right?
Yes,
Yeah, it was adopted December 4th, 2014.
I
And
think
I
it's
don't think
important if you're
VLCT has
going to
come up
look
with
at
any
it, that you
models
read
since then.
everything about it.
Oh, I did.
Okay, so it's.
I'm aware.
Yes, it's highest quality goods and at the lowest possible price. So then in the next page, where it says criteria, it says price, it says bidder's ability to perform within the specified time limits, bidder's experience and reputation, including past performance for the town, quality of the materials and service specified in the bid, bidder's ability to meet other terms and conditions, including insurance and bond requirements, bidder's financial responsibility, bidder's availability to provide future service, maintenance, and support, nature and size of bidder, and any other factors that the select board determines are relevant and appropriate in connection with a given project or service.
But how does that not repeat what is in sentence number 1?
I didn't say it
You
doesn't
broke it
repeat.
down into several
I didn't
discrete
say that-
pieces, but it still says to me that we are to pick the lowest qualified bidder. The items that you listed there should be in the bid specifications. And from those bid specifications, we then pick the lowest qualified bidder. But I know what you're shaking your head yes, but I don't understand what you're saying. Are you saying that this is right? Are you saying that the state's right? Are you saying that this other part's right?
We are following this, the town policy.
Then we are following that we would choose an item that is the lowest qualified bidder based on the bid specifications that the proposed bidders were given.
Where everything is listed, including everything that's listed here. The criteria for bid selection is more than just the lowest possible price. It's a lot of,
It's not the lowest
Lowest qualified bidder.
Yeah,
And
lowest
they might not say
qualified bidder.
lowest bidder, as long as everybody's qualified at the.
right,
Exactly.
The other thing is that we accepted the bid tonight by email. There's no email submission in this bid
what do you mean we
process.
accepted a bid by
Does it
email?
exclude it?
It doesn't exclude it, but it doesn't say that it's acceptable.
Right. So it's not.
It's not
That could
private.
go either way.
It's not private.
I think that when you go put it out, you notify them if it's sealed bid or whatever, right?
It says sealed
It's
bid in
sealed
here.
bid, yep.
So we may all understand that this is the town process, but whoever's putting the bid out, and I don't know if maybe Jay Wilson did his own bid process, or if it was approved by us to send out the initial bids,
Which one, for tonight?
well, for the last meeting, or
No,
any
that one wasn't.
any of them.
The excavator bid you guys looked at and approved to send out. The
Okay.
truck bid was not.
Okay. So, I
The
mean,
second truck bid that just went out, that one you approved.
for me, having been a civil servant in the past, it needs to be handled in an appropriate way and in a procedural way. And I think that the administrative assistant should be as in charge of it. You know, we review it and then it gets approved by us and sent out.
That was the way it always did work.
Okay, so I didn't see any of that.
You didn't
So-
see it, what?
The bid process.
The first time around, she said.
First time around, there was no bid process. It just was out the door by somebody else, not by the board. Even though it's in the budget, I mean, it still needs to be reviewed. It needs to be reviewed by the board. Yes, this is what, it's meeting all the criteria in this form. And, we're all in agreement, this is the time to do it, or whatever, and it has this process to go by. I'm just a process methodical person, and it keeps things under control. And people's understanding is, it's like, you go back to, the statements. Did I meet this criteria, as a board member? Did I meet this criteria as a bidder, everything. That's why you have it written down.
Yes, you're right.
So that's what I'm bringing to everyone's attention. I just wondered, and again, there was an email that came in, an email bid, and it's not here, so maybe we need to update it. Maybe we need to take a look at it. So that if we're doing 2 big bids, we are following the correct procedure and everything. We're crossing our T's and dotting our I's with it. That's my concern. And, does anyone else feel the same, that we need to review this, or that, or should we just go ahead and just follow this? Personally, I think just to bring it up to date, we need to modify it and allow, if we're going to accept email bids, which is commonplace nowadays, we need to add it into this. And I think we should all have a chance to look at this, and then we can all sign it and state, that we're in agreement as a select board. These are the rules we're going to follow.
I'll second
Anybody
that.
else have something?
I'll second that. She made a motion.
Okay. Any discussion, any further discussion? Okay. So, would you repeat the motion?
I make a motion to update the purchasing policy to include the email, to accept emailed bids and what the procedure would be on that. At the same time, review the purchasing policy agreement for further changes, and as a board that we modify the purchasing policy for the town of Newfane, and that we all sign in agreement as the select board that we're going to follow these policies.
Shannon, do you have all of them? Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor of reviewing the town purchasing policy and amending it in ways that might be needed to be done, say aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, the ayes have it and the motion passes.
Wonderful.
So now we have to discuss who is going to be rewriting and adding and subtracting from this policy.
I would work on that with Shelley. Because between us, I think we have an awful lot of experience at many different levels in purchasing. I know that that is not relevant in the state of Vermont. I've already been put in my place about that. But this is not right for us to be arguing about whether or not we should pick one truck or another based on some nefarious set of requirements that was never really spelled out, and that we ask people to bid against, and then we're in here negotiating the bid policy, while these two people are, or while this gentleman is here ready to make a presentation about his product. And the chair is saying, well, why don't we just buy a certain
I
truck?
didn't say that, Darren, first of all. Secondly, I can give you the name of an attorney up at BLCT.
I'd like his name, please.
Wait, Carl Ander, D-E-E-R.
Thank you.
We were allowed to have, it was a discussion on the topic of bidding. We were allowed to have a discussion. Everybody was allowed to say whatever they thought and felt, and he said it's absolutely legal. There's nothing wrong with that.
I'm very much surprised that a bid agent will say that a person handling a bid process can name the product in their discussion about the process when there are other bidders in the room.
Excuse me, first of all, I said it
I'll
was
ask-
my opinion. Please do.
I will.
Yeah, it was my opinion. We have to vote if, yes, Shelley?
I'd like to just see us all get along and that we all come to an agreement, so we don't
So
have.
we're talking about this right
Yes,
now,
yeah.
okay?
So we already agreed to go through the policy, and then our next meeting, we'll have some
Right.
update.
Yeah.
And then adopt it, like, it should be adopted by every board anyways, right?
It doesn't need to be, it's in effect until, it gets reviewed and updated.
Well, it doesn't need to be updated with the email thing, but
Yep.
we'll just,
So now's a good time to update and readapt.
Well, I would like us to have copies of this before we meet again, so that we can review, unless we sit here at the meeting and read the new policy.
Well, if you guys have changes,
Yeah.
send them to me. I'll make one document that I can then send out.
okay.
Yeah, that's good, thank you. Okay. Where are we? Local Emergency Operations Plan.
Okay. The Emergency Management Committee met, updated the local emergency operations plan. There was actually a very small update, changing the select board chair name and the road foreman name. That was it. But it does need to be adopted by the select board each year, and then I forward it to the state so that they have it.
Okay,
So it's almost identical to last year, with the exception of
Jay.
J and yep, that's it.
So this is like evacuations and,
Yeah, and sort of who does what in the event of an emergency, who goes where. It identifies high-risk locations, child care centers. There's actually an animal resource plan now.
can you tell me what the acronyms or the EMDs and
Yes, I can. I
ICs
don't
and-
have one in front of me because I didn't have enough copies. and
Do
I
we have
gave
a
one
key
to
of
Jay.
this on here somewhere?
They're not, but if you tell me what they are, I can tell you.
Isn't she gonna get the FEMA course?
Yes, you'll need to take the FEMA course too. That's fun. I'll help you.
Yo.
with that.
Uh-huh.
It's not critical that you do it right this second, as long as we have, one board member who has taken it, we're okay. So you could take a breath before you do it.
Okay.
But yeah, if you have questions on the acronyms, I can help.
Okay. Because I can make cookies.
Those are always welcome.
I mean, as far as like an emergency happens or something. No, I'm actually pretty good.
Did you say EMD?
Yeah,
Is
there's
that what you're
a,
looking at? Emergency Management Director?
oh, okay. And the VSP Vermont State Police?
Police, yeah.
Okay. And IC means what?
What is it?
IC?
It's an incident command.
Incident.
Okay. Okay. And they have an animal shelter, local emergency contacts. A lot of animal stuff,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. How about people stuff?
Yeah, no, we just say the animals, people around there.
I guess it's on the planning task number 4 list.
Yeah.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 I
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, the motion passes that we adopt this. We adopt the local emergency operation plan. Okay, the last item under new business is the administrative assistant review. And that is a review for Shannon. And last year, with the old board, we were doing some reviews of employees here. And there were some new job descriptions made for some of the employees. And Carol Hatcher, the former select board chairperson, suggested specific people on the board to do the reviews. And so Carol suggested that Gary and I do Shannon's review. And
I need to back away from that.
I'm not, can I finish what I'm
Okay,
saying,
good. Thank
please? And so at that time, we were looking at the paperwork sometime in September, and then it was brought up that actually that job description needed to be updated. So that was voted, and so Gary suggested that once we had the new job description, that we should give Shannon 6 months, about 6 months, to follow the new job
get into
description
it, yeah.
before we reviewed her, because that would be fair. So at the end of this month, so the new job description was printed out on December 4th, 2017. And so then we had from the beginning of December, and we're in May now, it's almost 6 months period. And so, and we also have a new board members. So I want to do Shannon's review, and because Chris actually has no email, he ends up coming into the office quite a bit, and he's been around during these last 5 or 6 months, and so I'm requesting that Chris work with me on the review and get that taken care of for Shannon. So I'd like to make have somebody make a motion, unless there's a disagreement or somebody else would like to do it.
Sounds good to me.
Mike, would you like to do it?
No, I don't do it. I made a motion.
Can I just ask, like, I wasn't here when you were doing the job description.
Right.
Can I get a copy of that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Somebody email it to you?
Yes, please, thank you.
And Chris, you're willing to do it with me? Are you willing to?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, good. So, do we have to have a motion for that, Shannon? No. Okay, so
You
you,
know, it wouldn't hurt, just to have.
What?
It wouldn't hurt.
okay, does somebody want to make a
I'll
motion?
make a motion that Marion and Chris review Shannon's 6-month job performance with her new job duties, based on her new job duties.
Yeah, okay, good, thank you.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Okay, so Chris, you and I will make a date and we'll get that done. Okay, thank you. Correspondence, we have a few things for correspondence. The first one is from Agency of Commerce and Community Development, Office of Creative Economy, Building a Sense of Place. It's from VLCT, and there's a date, June 14th, 2018, and the topic is how can municipal officials help their communities attain goals and vision for the future. And this will be in Killington Grand Resort, Killington, Vermont. So we will leave this with the correspondence pile, and if anybody's interested, you can look at it, sign up. Okay?
I would like to go, but I don't know what the procedure is. Is it on my own, or is it paid through?
Town will pay for it. You just take a peek at it.
Because I saw that listed. It's for cultural
I didn't even see
and economic
price, but
benefit.
yeah, if you just remind me that you want to go in an email, I'll sign you up.
Okay.
Yep.
Is there anybody else who wants to go, or do you want to take that with you? Shannon
No,
can
I
make
just
a
want to
copy for
remember.
you?
No, I've seen it. I go to their site all the time.
Okay. Okay. The other piece of correspondence is the latest issue of VLCT News. And on the cover, it's about the emerald ash borer in Vermont and Superior flood coverage. So this will be up there, or over here, Shannon, right?
Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
have it.
over
You
there.
can just request it.
Anybody wants to look at it. And then lastly, Shannon gave me a copy, a printed out letter from somebody named William Smith, and she asked me to read it. And it says, please pass this along to the select board for their consideration. Thank you. Dear sirs and madams, I am looking for a job as an economic development advisor. In particular, I'm looking for a small town that is looking for a leader in the realm of economic growth. It does not have to pay a lot, but it should be full-time with an office and pay enough for a decent living. I would need 3 things to be successful: access to the decision makers of the town, decision makers who are willing to listen to my recommendations, and a way to communicate with the community at large. Because as nice as it is to get outside companies to move to your area, the most successful growth will come from within. And that can't happen if the town's taxes and regulations are excessively repressive, or if I can't reach people to encourage them. So that's what this gentleman is looking for. He's looking for a position if our town, or any other town, I assume, would be interested in hiring him. And so he gives a little bit of information about himself, and I welcome anybody who's interested in reading this to look up at the correspondence table and read that. And his name is William Smith, and William Smith III, actually.
At first I thought it was my husband, my ex-husband.
But he's probably not the third, right? He's the last. Okay, sorry. Thank you, William, for writing to us, and it will be put with the correspondence for us. Okay, so that's it. We have finished with correspondence, and we are now on to pay orders. And thank you very much, Em, for being here tonight, and we always appreciate your work and cooperation. Good night.